This is a prototype tennis racket, and I'm really excited to tell you all about this thing. So the first thing that jumps out to me are the crosses. They're kind of this zigzag drill pattern, and it's something that I haven't seen since I worked at a mom and pop shop and we'd randomly get to string these 90s rackets. Specifically, I remember a Prince CTS Synergy Extender, which I think was from the 90s. And I've only ever seen these kind of zigzag crosses in these like grandma rackets, like the Extender. So I have to assume the whole idea behind them is more power, maybe better stability on off-center shots, more spin, that kind of thinking. Interestingly, these zigzag crosses aren't throughout the entire racket. They only begin on the 7th cross from the bottom and they go up until the 15th cross. So you get 9 total crosses of the zigzag pattern spanning through the sweet spot of the frame. And because this is a blacked up prototype, there's no paint markings indicating like a specific short side. So I imagine depending on which side of the frame you start your crosses on, you could start the zigzag pattern differently. So I think theoretically you could go for like more controlled type of string pattern and increase the kind of like weave angle on your first main, or you could go for more power and spin and decrease the weave angle on your first main. This isn't something I could test for this review because I think you would really need 2 rackets to hit them back to back to feel the difference, and it's something that you might not even feel the difference on, but I do think that is a very cool attribute of this prototype. Beyond this pretty crazy design, the specs of this frame are pretty average. It's a thick beamed, power-oriented 100 square inch racket with your classic weight distribution. It's 300 grams, 32 centimeter balance point, and a 290 swing weight, all unstrung of course. Despite these average specs, this prototype is, at least to me, a very special racket. So you're probably wondering, well, what the heck even is this racket? And I'm gonna tell you, but we're gonna play a fun game. Either you can skip to the timestamp below and just know what this racket is right away, or if you wanna try to guess what it is based on my playability description for feel, spin, control, I think that would be fun. That's what I would do if I was watching this video. So I'm just gonna do that, and I'm not gonna say the name of this frame until later. So until I hit this prototype frame, my favorite feeling Power 100 is definitely the Pure Drive. The E-Zone I think can be a bit too muted and maybe a bit sort of floppy feeling. The Boom MP is kind of hollow. The Ultra I really don't like. It's spongy and kind of clashy feeling. Whereas the Pure Drive is solid. It's not overly muted and dampened like its competition. You get a pretty pure feel out of, I guess, the flax fibers. I do like the Babolat dampening tech. In comparison, this prototype feels like a proper player's stick. There's a rich graphite feel completely devoid of dampening gimmicks or artificial softening. The flex here is quite uniform. It's almost reminiscent of the Aero Pro Drive original I have behind me, but it's way more manageable, easy to use, more forgiving, and more stable. On center contact, so hitting it in the sweet spot treats you to pretty decent ball pocketing in my opinion, while off center contact really doesn't punish you with any harshness, vagueness, or tinniness. At the end of the day, this thing feels really solid no matter where you make contact on the string bed, and even better, it tells you where you make contact on that string bed without punishing you. What more could you really ask for from the feel of the frame? Now speaking of this off-center contact, this frame is an absolute rock. There's very little fluttering on off-center balls, making it easily more stable than the slightly lighter Boom MP, the spongier Ultra 100, and being at least on par with the Pure Drive, though I do think it is slightly less forgiving than the E-Zone 100. With the swing weight coming in at about 320 strung, you can expect very slightly more plow through with this prototype than most of the other power rackets, but I think most advanced users, which I think this is totally suitable for an advanced user, are probably going to want to add a little bit of weight either in the tip or in the handle, if not both. Compared to other power rackets, I think the control on this prototype is absolutely excellent. I think the Ultra probably has the most pure control given how dense the string bed on that frame really is, but I think the Pure Drive is a little bit more predictable due to the uniform gimmick-free flex. The issue that some people have with the Pure Drive is that the launch angle can be pretty high because the string bed is so open. With this prototype, you get a lower launch angle similar to the Ultra, but you get this gimmick-free flex profile to keep you a little bit more connected, and the overall string bed is going to be a lot more consistent feeling than the Ultra. This low launch angle really comes from pretty densely spaced crosses despite these relatively open mains, and I honestly never felt betrayed by the string pattern or the launch angle of this frame, and to me it feels like the most controlled Power 100 in the segment. Now when it comes to spin, you can definitely hit a tremendously heavy ball with this frame. The low launch angle means you can just rip up the back of the ball without worrying about the racket catching a string, catching an edge, or spraying on you. There's also a surprising amount of tip awareness with this one, meaning it's pretty easy to modulate your spin. If you want to let that tip drop and really get under the ball like I usually do, you can easily do that. Or if you just want to step through that ball, crush a flatter one, it's more than happy to oblige.
I honestly have no idea. I can't.
So what the heck is this thing? Well, it's the 2026 Dunlop FX 500, and if you can't tell, I'm absolutely in love with this frame. It really provides everything that I personally look for in a racket. It's got a raw, organic feel, a uniform flex, pretty solid tip awareness for good spin modulation, a consistent, responsive, and predictable string bed, and it takes weight really well. I've personally customized mine with a VT Advantech leather grip, 3 grams up in the tip to yield the following specs: 339 grams, a 32.3 centimeter balance point, and a 330 swing weight. Now so far I have tried 3 different setups. All of them were at 52 pounds. That tension just worked for me. I might be able to drop it a little bit lower in the future, but we'll see. The first setup was Tourmaline Otoro Orange, which to me generally feels a little bit too plasticky and vague. It's probably my least favorite colored Otoro. The second was Grapplesnake Tour M8 125, which to my surprise felt a little bit stiff and I could kind of feel my wrist through the hitting session. And the third and final setup, which was definitely my favorite so far, almost perfect, Otoro Green in the mains, Restring Sync 125 in the crosses. Okay, so since this was an overwhelmingly positive review, I kind of feel the need to return to the everything bad segment, and there were 2 main areas that I struggled with this racket. Number 1 is the stiffer feel. I think if you like these very stiff, more connected frames, something like Grapplesnake Tour M8, there could be some comfort issues depending on your preferences. I imagine other favorites like Luxlon 4G, Babolat RPM Blast, Technofiber Razor Soft are all gonna yield relatively uncomfortable results in such a stiff, undampened frame. Even if you're like me and generally have a pretty high tolerance for stiffness, I would just proceed with very mild caution with this racket. The second is I haven't quite figured out my serve yet. I struggled to find my kick serve, not enough spin to dip it down, which is pretty unusual. Generally with my serve, it's pretty flexible. I can pick up most rackets and find a groove pretty easily. That said, I do think a little bit more tinkering with the balance, maybe taking a tiny bit of weight out of the head and going to a slightly higher launch angle string for a little bit more ball grab is going to help me not only on my serve, but through all areas of the court. So switchability. Right now, I am considering switching rackets from my Pure Aero Rafa. My main problem with the Rafa is that I kind of struggle to flatten out the ball consistently. I can flatten it out, of course. I can be aggressive with it. It's not like it's completely impossible, but there are situations where I feel like it doesn't come as natural as I would want it to, and ideally on court, you make as many shots feel natural as possible, especially the shots that you're going to play more often. And more often than not recently, I'm finding myself in aggressive positions where I need to be aggressive, flatten the ball out, and take charge of the point. Now, I still love my Pure Aero Rafa. It's been a great tool for helping me increase my rally tolerance and defensive skills. It was something that really gave me the will to grind out these longer points and just generally improve my fitness, something that I think you can see in the hitting footage. But right now, I'm looking to add a little bit more aggression to my arsenal, and I think this FX500 might be the correct choice. It's at the very least a contender for me, alongside the upcoming Blackout V2 video will be coming soon, the recently updated Speed MP, the Technofiber T-Fight 305S, and I might even revisit the Aero 98. But that is going to be updated pretty soon, so I'm kind of hesitant to